Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman Outdoors channel. This is part 5 of the mid-size survival knife showdown. This part we're going to be talking about sheaths, what sheaths these knives come with. Now I'm going to kind of mention that there's a lot of aftermarket sheaths. However, I'm going to kind of judge these knives based on the sheath that they initially come with from the factory, because that's just generally how most people are going to see it. So I'm going to just kind of work my way down the list. One caveat, I think every knife here is a great knife. It wouldn't be on this list if it wasn't a great knife. So don't start, losing your mind if, I score your knife bad on one certain thing or not, because every knife here is going to score great in different aspects, in my opinion. But I'm just going to work my way down the list from my left to right here. I have Cold Steel SRK. Now, the Cold Steels are famous for their Secure X sheaths here. And of course, they come with this little nylon backer, and you can, which is kind of nice actually, you can put it on your belt without having to take your pants off, and you can clip it in and all that good stuff. Secure, well, it is secure. It's not coming out of there. Has decent amount of lashing points on it. I actually like this sheath. I think, especially for the money, and that's kind of one of the glory things about the Cold Steel SRK, is that it is a very great budget knife. I think, with that being said, I think I'm going to give it a 10 right off the bat. I think I'm going to give it a 10 just because it is a great sheath. I think there's more companies that could actually kind of learn from Cold Steel and making a similar type of sheath for their knives. Next up, I have the Becker BK7. Now, this is obviously not the factory sheath. If you guys ever looked at the Becker sheaths, they still come with that 1990s garbage nylon cheap crap sheath. And I had a horrible experience with it because, I mentioned in the previous video, this was the knife I carried when I was in the Marines as an infantry grunt. And so I had that complete just crap sheath, that nylon sheath, and I think it was either my first or second outing with it, and the sheath completely fell apart on me. The whole sheath just fell apart, and I had to just carry the knife. I think I strapped it to my pack or something, just because the whole sheath fell apart, so it couldn't stay on my belt anymore. And of course, the sheath was just long and gaudy and just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm gonna straight up say, K-Bar, get your ass in line with the Becker series and start updating the sheaths, and give them some micarta scales too while you're at it to start off with. So I love the Becker knives. I'm kind of a Becker fanboy, but I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm gonna give it a 2 on the sheath. Moving down the list, Papa Bear Knives, Bush Bear. He has this really nice kind of leathery look, taco style sheath. Excellent retention. Fits in great. Not coming out of there. Not coming out of there. I'm going to give this a solid 9. I like this sheath a lot. It came with just a tech lock. I put my own leather backer on there. But I really like the presentation of this sheath. It just kind of has that cool, classic, old school look to it, but with some modern aesthetics. All right. Moving on down the line here, we have the TRC Apocalypse. So, mind you, this is the most expensive knife on this whole list, okay? And this sheath, and I'm not like a super big sheath snob, but it has a lot of rattle to it. Now, that being said, it does retain it pretty well. It has good clamping up here. It does have a good thumb push on there. So overall, it is a pancake style, has a decent amount of holes so you can lash things on with. It has just kind of a nylon belt loop here. I wished it had some kind of means to put it on without having to take your belt off. That kind of sucks. It does have a fire steel slot on it too. Overall, I think I'm going to give it a 7. I think it's overall pretty decent presentation, but it's not the best. All right, moving down. Tops Silent Hero. Now, this is obviously not the factory sheath. I hated the factory sheath so much right out of the box with this knife. I don't even know what I did with it. I think I like straight up threw it away. And sadly, Tops still has that ridiculous, stupid sheath. It's a leather sheath, but it has like a snap that kind of comes over it. And you literally can damn near cut the snap off by just pulling the knife out. So, really piss poor design. I don't know why Tops still is using that sheath. They need to update the sheath on that, quite frankly. So, fortunately, there are some awesome makers. This is a Yellowhawk custom Kydex sheath that I got for this knife. But I'm going to say, the leather factory sheath that it came with is complete garbage. I'm going to give it a 3. Like, I think it was slightly better than the Becker sheath, but not by a whole lot. Right? 5 more left to go. Halfway done. All right, Lion Steel T6. Overall, has good presentation to it. Has kind of a molly back on there. However, what's nice about it is you could just unpop those and put it right onto your belt, snap them back together, and it's going to hold on to your belt without having to take your belt off. So that's a plus. Has a good thumb push. Just the slightest amount of rattle. It's not much. Great retention. So, I really like this sheath, actually. I think this sheath is a big win for this. I'm going to give it, I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9 as well. All right, the Phobos Knives. Now, I'm going to throw a caveat out here real quick, okay, with the Phobos Knives. They have some models that has this leather sheath, and they have some models with a Kydex sheath. Now, I will say, both are really awesome, okay? And this leather sheath is really awesome. It has a lot of different lashings. You can carry it regularly. You can carry it scout style. You can molly loop this leather sheath. It has a fire loop. It has all the gizmos and whistles and stuff. I like this leather sheath. It looks awesome. There's one problem with it. Even with that snapped, it does not retain the knife. They either need to tighten this strap down, or me personally, I think they need to find a different design or mechanism. Like, I think actually like a strap that comes over and cinches down would be a slightly better design. So innovation and all that, and coolness factor, it's very cool. If this sheath actually held great, I would give it a solid 8, I think. But because of that, because of the retention issue, I think I'm only going to give it a 6. Now, that being said, it can have a Kydex sheath as well. And from what I've seen from that, that is an awesome sheath too. So, and it does have a lot of the same features as this leather sheath. So the Kydex, I would probably give it a solid 8. All right, moving on. The Reef Knives F6. So I modified this sheath a little bit. From the factory, it has just this little clip that swivels around and such. It is nice because you can put it on without having to take your belt off. However, the clip is kind of chintzy. It's a plastic clip, and it kind of brings the knife up high, up on your waist. So that's an issue there. However, I'm kind of put some redneck engineering to this, so I put a leather backer on it and a tech lock and all that good stuff. So it's great. It's a taco type of sheath, so it actually kind of has that slim kind of streamlined look, which I kind of like generally. I kind of lean on taco sheaths, generally speaking. But has just a slight little thumb ramp. It comes out fairly decent. Retention. I don't think it has the best retention, but I haven't had it come out either. So I think I'm going to give that a solid 6 as well. All right, Work Tough gear. Mountain Lion. Now, this sheath is super tight. I have to kind of put a little bit of force on it. Now, granted, this knife is fairly new still, so I'm sure as I use it more and more and more, it'll loosen up. So that's no big deal to me. It didn't really come with much of a way to mount this sheath from the box. It came with like a baldric strap, which I don't know if I cared for that for this size of knife. And then it had just a tech lock, kind of pseudo tech lock, but I wouldn't want to just tech lock it straight onto my belt. So I made a leather backer on it. I've been making these leather backers and wrapping it in 550 cord. It's just been something I've been doing. I've been having fun with it. One thing I might complain about with this sheath, it is kind of a big profile. Like, you know, I pull the knife out. It's almost twice as big as the knife is itself. So it does kind of feel a little awkward on your side. It's not uncomfortable or anything, but it is just, it's a big profile. So I think I will ding it a little bit on that. I think I'm gonna give it a 7. All right, last but not least, I have the Esee 6. Now, of course, there's a absolute shit ton of aftermarket hit sheaths and stuff for the Esee 6. The Esee 6 has a lot of following, a cult following, quite frankly. However, the factory sheath, I think, with the Esee 6, I think is an awesome sheath. Now, it does come from the factory with a clip plate like that. I chose to put a Molly backer on this one. Overall, I really like the sheath. I like the package. It has neat little thumb wrap. Retention. It's not coming out of there. So overall, I think the Esee sheath is on par with the cold steel. It's actually a little higher quality than the cold steel, for sure. It's some kind of thermal plastic. It's not Kydex. However, the Esee also, you know, for the price point, comes with a great sheath. So I think I'm going to give the Esee a 10, quite frankly. With all that being said, stay tuned. We're going to have part 6 come out soon. Be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless and carry on.